Welcome to r/EntitledParents. In today's stories, an EP thinks they rented the whole park. There's an entitled parent at Auschwitz. Oh my god. End your dog before it gets bigger, or I'll do it. Do you see that thing in your hands? I want it. It's mine. Give it to me. What is up, guys, and I do hope you're well. If you do enjoy Reddit stories, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe button, and maybe even that notification bell, as it really helps our channel pushing forward. Much love, and let's get straight into the stories. Our first story is from The Fire Eagle. EP thinks they rented the whole park. I'm at a city park with my kids. We've been to this park a bunch. There is this one spot where there is a rocky hill, or tree covered, nice and shady on a hot day. There is a playground and pavilion on top of the hill. We get up there and I immediately notice loud noises, and I'm having to step over cables and extension cords. Someone rented the pavilion and set up not one, but 3 bounce houses around it. Effing great. So I have to give the disappointing news to my kids that even though they are surrounded by bounce houses, they cannot play in them since it's a private party, but they are free to go and hit the playground. Everyone is cool. I sit on a bench and my kids go to town on the fake pirate ship when I hear, "Hey!" That's when ED, doing his best to imitate the situation from Jersey Shore, walks up to me and informs me that the playground is closed for a private party. I look at him and inform him that public parks do not close for private parties, and it sounds like he rented the pavilion nearby, which is fine, but it doesn't give him exclusive use of the neighbouring playground. He storms off and returns with a rental agreement and shoves it in my face, telling me to get my effing kids and leave. Right, so the rental agreement is very clearly for the pavilion, all for the grand sum of $35 for 4 hours. How could any sensible adult think that $35 granted you exclusive use of the public playground? Moreover, why is it so important for you to have exclusive use of a public playground? I, again, point out to him that he rented the pavilion, not the park, and my kids won't go on his bounce houses, so we won't go into his pavilion, but the playground is fair game for everyone. He begins hurling threats. I'm weighing just taking my kids and leaving to avoid this a-hole. Then I decide I need to take a stand on principle, so I tell him to F off and proceed to use my phone to find the phone number for the park office. Our county staffs our parks. During the summer months, they employ park rangers who have peace officer authority. I call the park ranger and tell them there's trouble up at the shady playground and tell them they need to come right away. Sure enough, as I'm getting off the phone, Dolph returns with his 2 of his meathead friends to tell me that they are ejecting me from the park. No, you're not, and if you touch me, I'm calling the cops and pressing charges. No anger, no rage. With the promise of action, however, one of them widens his eyes and steps back, saying to his friend, "Just leave him alone, man." This guy, for some reason, does not want the police coming, and it's very obvious. The ringleader won't back down, however, and tries his best to get in my face, scream, and yell. He grabs my arm, and I remove his hand. All of this just as I see the ranger pull up, yell for everyone to step back from one another, and come over. The smug effer shoves the rental contract into the chest of the ranger, telling him that I'm trespassing, and he rented this space for the day for his kid's party. Now, normally I don't like posturing by law enforcement, but here it's pretty amusing. The ranger said, "Touch me again, and I'm arresting you," and reads the contract. This is for renting the pavilion. You have use of the pavilion, but the playground is open for public use, and hands it back. Also, your permit doesn't allow you to set up bounce houses. Where did you plug these in? The ranger follows the extension cords and sees that they run into the nearby public bathrooms. There was an outdoor outlet. It was locked. The dude cut off the lock so he could plug in his crap. The ranger comes back with a broken lock. "Did you cut this lock?" It was like that when I found it." "Really? Because it was intact this morning. So some random person cut this lock and you just happened upon it within the last 2 hours." I guess." Long story short, he let them stay and let them keep the bounce castles because he didn't want to ruin the kids' party. He wrote the guy a citation for the broken lock and unauthorized power use and banned him from the park for the remainder of the season, after the party. Amazingly, this entire event was lost on my children, who barely noticed anything was going on, likely because of the compressor noise. Oh god, where'd you start with that? The guy paid $35. Who gets to rent a place for $35? In the UK it costs hundreds. I mean, come on. And you think that you own the whole park as well while you're doing that? I mean, god damn. If that was the case, I'd be renting that park every day. Our next story is from Hannah J 101, entitled Parent at Auschwitz. Oh, this is going to be awful, I know it already. I was in Poland this week and I travelled to many places. On Tuesday I went to Auschwitz and was fortunate enough to see an entitled parent. I was sat on the bus with parents and we'd stop at the next stop for some more of our group to get on. One rather large woman, no offence to those who are large, clambered on with her son, complaining about having to climb up the steps onto the bus and that there should be a ramp. My dad just whispered to me she complained about climbing the steps of a bus when we have about 3 kilometres to walk around Auschwitz. The woman was wearing flip-flops to walk around Auschwitz. The same woman also took a photograph of everything, even in the room that said no photographs. My dad wasn't impressed. He tapped on her shoulder and pointed out the no photograph sign. So she wasn't just entitled, she was disrespectful. Oh my word, again, why'd you start with something like this? I mean, you're going to a place like Auschwitz where awful things happened and you're complaining about having to climb on a bus. I mean, put things into perspective, please. And then disrespecting the photograph thing, I mean, what? Yeah, whatever. Our next story is from Akuro Ishimoto. I'm sorry if I got that name wrong. Kill your dog before it gets bigger, or I'll do it. Hi everyone, so yesterday my grandma and brother were out and stopped by a pet store where they saw a boxer/Labrador puppy that had the exact same markings of a boxer my grandma had when she was younger, with the snout, or snooter as I like to call it, of a lab that we had when I was around 8 to 12. After a bit of begging to my mum, I received a call from my brother saying, "We're getting a new dog," which was incredibly random, so they brought him home and I immediately fell in love. Even after all the crap all over the floor, 5 minutes after being in the house, he's about 9 weeks old and is about the same size as our Boston Terrier, Cookie, who's full grown. To put it simply, he's going to be a big boy pretty soon. This is Kobe. Since so many people want to see him, I don't want to make you swim through a sea of comments to find one. I posted. After a few hours of trying to decide names, I wanted to name him Tyson because of Mike Tyson, and Dobby because of his ears. Then I thought about the correlation of Mike Tyson and ears and decided to steer clear of them despite his newfound obsession with carrying socks in his mouth. My mum came home and we decided to name him Kobe. We took him to the vet today because we thought he had some problems with his hearing and unfortunately had fleas, so we had to get him treatment for that. Now Kobe is kind of overly playful when he wants to be, not rough or anything, but he just started chewing things, not just toys but shoelaces and cords and stuff. We're discouraging this kind of behaviour, but we've only had him for a day now, and these things take time. My mum and I were sitting in the vet's office. I'm holding Kobe while he licks my face, and I get that wonderful whiff of puppy breath that smells like freshly licked arse and burnt popcorn. We've had our other dog Cookie for about 6 years, and a game we play with her is, since she had rather a smushy face, putting her nose gently between our index and middle fingers and saying we're going to pinch it off. She loves it, and is always in the mood to play. So I tried it with Kobe, who has a much longer snooter. So I do the same thing as I do with Cookie, giving the classic banter of, "I got your nose, it's my nose now." And while Kobe is loving it just as much as Cookie does, he's still a puppy, so he doesn't really hold back. He puts my knuckles in his mouth and starts chewing on them. Not hard, just playful nibbles. But as I said, I want to train him to stop before he's fully grown, and playful nibbles start hurting a lot more. So I do what I usually do, telling him, "No chewing, be gentle," etc. And he stops and goes back to licking my face. While this went on, EM and EK were sitting with their miniature dog that looked like Rufus the naked mole rat at a furry convention. Little effing gremlin wouldn't stop yipping whenever someone would pass by it. Eventually my mum takes Kobe into the vet's office and I'm stuck in the waiting room alone with 2 entitled people and the only dog I have ever will dislike. The EM says, "Excuse me?" I turn to face her. "Yeah, what's up? You're putting it down, right?" No, he's 9 weeks old. He's just here for a little checkup." "What? I saw how vicious he was. He was biting you." "No, he was just getting a little over playful. Though I understand your concern. I'm working on teaching him not to nibble for when he gets bigger." "You mean he's going to get bigger? What if he attacks my baby or another person?" Yeah, he's going to get a lot bigger, but don't worry, he's not an aggressive dog. He's just a puppy." "No, I want that thing put down right now." After repetitive senseless arguing, my mum comes out with Kobe, and after the most obvious ear whispering I've ever seen, EK lets out a shriek that gives me flashbacks of a lemon guy from the Adventure Time. "Make that mean dog go!" EM marches up to the vet. "I demand that you put that vicious mutt down right now." The vet says, "Mum, I'm not going to put that dog down that's shown no sign of harming anyone aside from a little bad breath." And I say, you got your face licked too, huh? Sure did. Don't you ignore me. If you won't put it down, I will. EM then went over to Kobe, a small 9-week-old puppy, and kicked him. I'm not a violent person, but I snapped on her. As soon as she kicked Kobe, I tackled her to the ground and held her there while screaming like a banshee. The EM said, help, help, rape! It wasn't long before more security was called, and they took her from there. The vet gave Kobe another look over and said he would be fine. Nothing bad happened aside from the initial pain of the kick, but he did get loads of treats afterwards for taking the force of Jabba the Hutt's fatter sister like a champ. Still waiting on an update about EM. Thanks for reading. Who kicks a dog, man? I mean, any dog, even just a vicious dog. Who kicks a dog? Especially when you own a dog yourself. Surely you'd have more sense about it. I mean, come on. Our next story is from Ansley Starr. You see that thing in your hands? I want it. It's mine. Give it to me. Thought of a great story from a few months ago. Characters: PM, Pie Mum, PK, Pie Kid, CE, Calm Employee. So around Thanksgiving, I decided I want to make a pie for my mum and bring it to Thanksgiving dinner. My mum has celiac, so she typically misses out on pies and she doesn't want to make everybody eat gluten-free crusts when they don't have to, even though they really aren't that bad. However, since I'm a procrastinating hoe, I waited until Wednesday night to even go to the grocery store to buy what I needed. I managed to snag the last gluten-free pie crust I had, which was great because I didn't really want to have to hand make it. Cue the entitlement. Pie Mum walks up to me and holds out hand. Me is a dumb bee that thinks she's asking for a high five, so I high five her. What are you doing? I need the pie crust. I say, oh sorry, it looks like they're out. Maybe you can ask somebody. The Pie Mum interrupts me. I know they're out. That's why I need it. That one. And points to the one I'm holding. I chuckle nervously. Yeah, sorry, I need this too. The Pie Mum says, I need it for my daughter. She can't have gluten. I then see a preteen standing behind her, glaring at me like I'm somehow at fault. I didn't like preteens when I was a preteen, and I especially don't like them now. But that's neither here nor there. I say, I'm sorry, that's so rough. My mum has celiac too. She can't have... And Pie Kid cuts me off. I don't know what celiac is, but my mum needs the pie crust to make my pumpkin pie. That's right. Besides, you clearly don't need to be eating any pie, sweetie. I bite back a very, very rude reply and just put the pie crust in my cart and walk away. I thought the ordeal would be over, but of course not. That would be too easy. The Pie Mum storms up to me with an implacable looking employee in tow. This is her, the calm employee says. Mom, this woman says you took her pie crust from her. That's right, I was holding it and she ripped it out of my hands and ran away. I say, okay, well that never happened. I got to the pie crust first and she just wanted it for herself. Pie Kid says, no, that's not true. I saw you do it. Me getting ready to get into it with this 12-year-old girl. I did not. Sorry that your mum is too effing, and cuts me off again. See, she's cussing in front of my child. The calm employee holds up his hand to shut the mum up. We can figure this out. We have security cameras that show the aisle in question. If what you're saying is true, we can easily prove it. If you come with me, we'll figure this out. Pie Mum's looking like a deer in the headlights. Well, you know, those things aren't always accurate. I say, sorry, what? A security camera isn't always accurate. She says, I mean, it's not even, it's the principle of the thing. I said she stole it. I should get it back. The calm employee says, Mom, as a manager, I have to do my due diligence to figure out what happened. I'll be very happy to return the crust to you if it turns out what you're saying is true. But this woman's saying that it isn't true. Why would I believe one person over another? Especially when I can use video evidence to find out the solution. What's happened to the customer is always right. And starts to storm away. I'm never, ever coming back here if this is how you treat your customers. Come on, EK. Looks like you have to wait until next year for your pie. Both the employee and I wait until the woman is gone. I say, I really didn't take it from her, you know. And he said, I know. She's been a pain since she started coming here. There's a warning about her in the break room. Finn. Oh, where are these people? Like, round Christmas time, round our way, it's always the same. People trying to take stuff from each other. Like, Christmas, I don't know why, I think it's salmon. It's some sort of fish. It's very popular. And they have fresh salmon in our local supermarket. And they put it at the end of the aisle. And at a certain time of year, they just go mental for it. They're like pushing each other out of the way, trying to get to it for a little packet of salmon. It's ridiculous. So I can see how this story could be true just because of that. And I've seen people like taking the salmon off of each other, stealing it out of each other's baskets. It's like one of those Black Friday sales. It's absolutely nuts. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed today's stories. If you did, please consider hitting that like, maybe throwing a little subscribe in there, and hitting that notification bell. Much love guys. Take care now. Goodbye.